Test 1, 2. Okay. Let's test this. Do we have sound now? Okay, we're good to go. My apologies, guys. I was trying to set up some new equipment because the last live we did, we sounded like we were in a cave, and I couldn't get the new system set up in time. So I switched over the drivers and had to start up the old system and didn't switch the drivers back. So that's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. I apologize, but welcome to our live. Just want to let you know that we have James in the background. James was actually here, I guess, helping us with any of your Facebook or YouTube questions that are coming in. So feel free to ask questions. I have Jennifer Deere here. Hey, Jen, how are you?
Hello.
Awesome. And she is going to be telling me if I do anything wrong, right? And okay, well, anyway, she'll fill us in on anything that I miss. And we also have a special guest, Sammy Sampler, here. You met her last week. Hey, Sam, how's it going?
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so Sam's here, and I'm going to try to drag her into camera. Any chance of getting Jennifer in today? No, absolutely not. I got the big no.
No sound.
Yeah,
No
no,
sound.
no sound. So anyways, welcome, guys. We are going to do a doodle live today, and we have some other announcements. If you had a chance to join us last week, we actually did a digitized live. And that one we used the Hatch software, and we did a really cute design. It was a bat design. We did it in Mylar. And I also did it as an applique. So afterwards, I promise you guys I'd have it, I guess, as a free download. And it is available on our site if you go to digitizingmadeeasy.com. And then it's free/embroidery/designs. There you'll be able to go and download those 2 files. And I think I even saved an SVG file if you have a cutter, scan and cut, or Cricut or Silhouette or anything like that. So you can pre-cut your little bat shape and do it as an applique as well. So that design is there and it is available. And before we actually get started here, I'm going to switch cameras because I'm going to do the piece of artwork that we saw when we opened up. And it is kind of a cool picture because Jennifer and I had a chance to go away on a holiday, and we hadn't been away in a long, long time. We had a great time, didn't we, Jen? We took tons and tons of pictures, and we took tons of pictures. And the some of the pictures we took, this is one of them that was actually a photograph, and we converted it to sketchwork. And what's really cool about this is you can actually do this very, very easily, not within the Design Doodler program, but within an iPad app called Graphite. So I have this app, and I can take a photo, so any photo that I have, and I can bring it into the software, and it will give me a sort of rendition of what the design is going to look like. And then I have a whole bunch of options here where if I want to change this to a pen and ink style, which is what I did, that gives me the pen and ink style. And then all I have to do is save that image, and I can bring it into my Doodler. And for those of you who don't know what a Design Doodler is, it is a software program currently on PC, but we also include a free accompanying app for iPad. So you can actually doodle right on your iPad with a magic pencil or even with your finger. So
we know how to spell doodle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. Who did that, I wonder? That would be Leanne in our office.
Or you?
No, I did not do the slide.
Sure?
So yes.
We all know your spelling.
Yeah, my spelling is atrocious, and that's why I did not catch the, I guess that. But I will point that out to Leanne tomorrow that we just happened to spell doodle wrong. What would that be? Doodle? So, but anyways, we're going to doodle, guys. And I'm going to bring up the software right now so that you can see it. And I'm going to try to position myself a little bit differently on the screen. So be patient with me here, and we can see if we can get one that actually works for us. And actually, I think that one might just work fine. So you can see the software. I did actually bring in this design into the software, and I did actually size it before we got started. So if I want to choose, let's just take this and move it out of the way here, and we'll move this one out of the way. Sorry, just moving some of my little tabs that are floating around. If I want to show you what the size is, I can select this piece of artwork, and let's just hit the select, and I can go to my settings and make sure that in my settings I am in imperial because I want to make sure that I see this in inches. And while it is selected, I'm going to go to my properties, and the properties right now says this is 4 inches in height by 6.3 inches wide. So that's the size that I kind of wanted to do for this design. It shouldn't take me too long to digitize or doodle, I should say. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I go back into metric. And I say this with any software that creates designs. You want to sort of switch from the size of the design, which most people do think in inches, unless you're from I guess somewhere else in the world that you're all metric. But in the US and Canada, especially the older generation in Canada, we still kind of think in inches for the most part. But I want to go to my settings in metric. So now I have everything in metric and I'm ready to go. Now, the whole idea behind the Doodler is that you really want to have a pen or a stylus in your hand. Doodling with a mouse is kind of like, holding a brick while you're trying to draw fine art. It just isn't as fluid as you would want it to be. So I'm not a big fan of doodling with a mouse, and that's why the iPad app is so awesome, because you have the magic pencil. If you have a monitor that you can actually set up to do this, and I did have my piece here. Let's switch over. So you can see here's my monitor, and I'm going to be working on a 32-inch Cintiq monitor. Now I realize 99% of you will not have one of these large monitors. It does allow me to see more of the object on the screen, but all of the videos that I shoot, the tutorials that I do for the Design Doodler, I actually do use a 22-inch monitor, which only costs me, well, it's not only, but it was about $400 to actually get a Ueon 22-inch pen tablet or pen monitor, and that makes it much easier to actually create the designs. Now I'm going to choose a color, and if I look at my colors, I'm going to choose something that we can see, which is that green right there. I'm going to bring my properties up so that we can see the properties as I'm working. All these tabs kind of float around so that you can have those open. And I'm going to select this artwork again real quick, and I'm going to adjust the opacity a little bit so that I actually can see through the artwork a little bit. If it's really, really dark, then it's harder for me to see my lines as I'm creating them. And I'm going to lighten it up so that you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to take my little hand and pan around the screen, and I'm going to go to my scale, which is 6:1, and I do have it as a click right within the software. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right over here, move those out of the way. I'm going to choose a running stitch and a freehand tool, and I'm going to choose a 2mm stitch length. And now when I go down to the bottom of my design, I'm going to start to doodle this, and what I'm going to do is just freehand go back and forth. So I'm just going to freehand go back and forth as I'm actually doodling. Hopefully you guys can kind of see some of these colors, and I will turn on the actual 3D afterwards so that you can actually see the stitches being created. But I'll come around the outside like that, and then I'll just keep creating lines. I'm just really sketching kind of based off of the artwork that I see. You can't really make a mistake when you're doing this type of work. And I do digitize at that 6:1 scale, and I've been doing it for so long that I kind of have a good feel about what's being created. Then I can take my hand and move around anywhere on the object, go to my little widget that's floating here, and I can just click back in the center of it. And then when I want to start again, there is a tiny little red dot that appears over the last object that I did. And as long as I continue on where I let go, I can basically go in there and doodle and create lines, and it will automatically connect those stitches so that there will be absolutely no jumps or trims in any of those lines. So here I see it being a little bit thicker. I'm going to come here, do a couple points. I could come down here, do a couple points this way, and just do some of these little pieces. And when I end up letting go again, it's going to release that function, and it's going to then generate the stitches that I've done. So there are those stitches generated. So it's a very, very easy process. If you were a kid and you ever played that game where you put your pencil on a piece of paper and you tried not to lift your actual pencil off the paper as you did a object, it's pretty much just like playing that game that you did when you were a kid, because you are just drawing right onto the tablet. Now with this one, I'm going to travel through the center here because there's a little bit of sort of messed up mashy stitches, and I'm just going to, here it gets a little darker. I'm going to go around the outside. There's a couple little pieces here. I'm going to come in here and do some kind of almost cross hatching. And you can tell I'm really not being exact in anything that I'm doing, but I will do a couple of runs around the outline. And then in this piece where I see a lot of dark areas, I'm just going to come in here, do a couple pieces this way, a couple pieces this way. There's really nothing that you can do wrong within your design. You're just going to kind of freehand all of your points. And if you do see my grid that I'm using, my grid is actually set up at 10 millimeters for the really long, I guess major grid, and the minor grid is all set up at 1 millimeter. And I do that on purpose so that as I'm creating my little spaces, I know that a normal stitch in embroidery that is at 0.4 millimeters is going to have perfect coverage on a design. So when I'm creating stuff like this, I know that my spacing, if it is too close together, if I can sort of see that I'm putting all these little points down and they're really close together, then I'm going to create bulletproof embroidery. It's going to be very stitch intensive. But if I use those grids kind of as a foundation or a baseline, and again, I'm just continuing on here, I'm just putting in some pieces. This is what I love about doing designs like this, is there is no real wrong or right. It is 100% artistic merit. And nobody will really ever see the original artwork. So I can come here and I can, fictitiously make an elbow in an area that doesn't have one. Come over here, have some pieces going this way, just have a little bit of area straying off, do a couple pieces here. I can connect through things. The whole point with this design is when I'm done, I really want to have absolutely no jump stitches. I want this entire design to travel in one continuous path. And that's really my goal. So I'm going to put in a bunch of stitches here, come and do some cross hatching this way, and have a little bit of detail going this way. And then I will look at this part here, and this is going to have some bolder lines because this is kind of the arm, I guess what do they call that? James knows all his muscles, but that is a bicep. There we go. So I'm doing the bicep there, and now I'm going to do a couple pieces right off of here, and I'll join in to this point, do a couple of little cross stitching. Now, if you think that it looks like I'm just kind of scribbling on the screen, that is exactly what I'm doing. I am just scribbling. Any questions coming through, Jen?
We had a question about the pen that you're using.
Yep.
Do you know the name of it?
Well, this is a pen from I guess the brand that I use, and I've been using this brand commercially as a professional digitizer or puncher for probably the last 20 years. And it is actually a company called Wacom. And Wacom is one of the first and still one of the best quality pen monitors, PC pen monitors in the industry. So they are known for making really, really good quality, I guess, monitors that do this. But they are probably 3 times more expensive than some of the other brands that you will find on, Amazon. There's actually the Ueons, there's the XP Pros. There is a whole bunch of different monitors that are available. And on our site, we do have links to a lot of those different brands. And I did put up links that were kind of for monitors that were a little more cost effective, meaning that they might cost you a couple $100s, but you have a little bit of a smaller area to actually draw on, to other monitors that are like 22-inch monitors, which can run you a few $100s. So the one that I'm using is a 32-inch Cintiq monitor, and it is, to be honest, I guess for a graphic artist or a professional digitizer, this is probably what you would want to end up using if you do this for a living, because they are expensive and they are good and they'll last a long time, but you really need to do enough of this type of work to justify spending the money. But you do not need to buy an expensive one like the one I'm using. You can get into this technology for a couple of $100s. I've seen some monitors on Amazon that have this technology, and they really are not that expensive. So I'm just looking around my design because I am going to have to come in here and sort of path my way around. And I have a couple of decisions to make. I'm probably going to leave the head till last, the face till last, and I'm going to continue to do the work in here. The whole thing is I want to make sure that I continue on the same path all the way through. I want to come in here, not have any jumps and trims, and this allows me to kind of travel, because this really is not a corporate design where you're going to end up seeing all of the flaws. Nobody's ever going to see the original sketch, and we're going to hope that when it sews out, it resembles our desired intent. Any other question, Jen?
Yes, Maria says she doesn't have an iPad, and there was an iPad app with the Design Doodler. Would she be able to just use her computer, or would she need the app to upload photos?
No, you can use your computer. There are lots of apps for PCs that allow you to do the exact same type of functionality that I showed with the graphite, and they might even have one for PCs as well. I'm not sure, but you don't have to have an iPad. We have that sort of as an extra bonus. And just so you know, if you do have an iPad, you need to have the PC version to actually save your designs. If you do not have the PC version, it will not actually be able to export to a machine file format. So that's one thing I like to let people know, is you need to run this on a PC, even if you have an iPad, because it'll save what's called a JD S file, which is a JD save file. And you need to have the appropriate JDX file, which is the file that actually allows you to go in and change it to all the machine formats. We do offer it as a free accompanying iPad app, and the only way that we can legally offer it as a free app is if it does not save machine file format. So that's why you really need to have both to make it work. And it does work really, really well.
We just had Ken showing how he used his iPad out on a park bench, doodling what was in front of him.
Yep, it is actually awesome. Ken did a great job on that.
Anybody see that YouTube video?
I did. If you did get a chance to see it, if you haven't, get over to our YouTube channel, because Ken has kind of fallen in love with the Doodler software, and he's going to be doing a ton of content that is all geared to doing really incredible stuff, specifically with the Doodler.
Hey, Kathy says, a pen that you were talking about the other day, she thought it was from Amazon around the $20 mark. Do you know what she's referring to?
There is a mouse pen that it's called a pocket pen. Okay, so James said it's called a pocket pen. So they do have a very simplistic type of mouse that, to be honest, it's shaped like a pen. So you are not drawing on a screen, you're drawing on a mouse pad. It will work as far as functionality is concerned. I don't know if it's really as friendly as drawing on a monitor, but I do know some people who have some of those, I guess, pen tablets, they were called in the old days, because before the monitors came around, those were kind of the popular thing to use. And they draw on those, and some people actually love them and swear by them. So I'm kind of going off the grid here and doing a little bit of stuff, and I'm going to be trailing and finding my way back home very soon, just so you know. The thing that I don't want to do is get trapped too much into a corner, and that is the beauty of doing work like this that is sketch work and really is artistic merit, is you can go over areas you've already been. And if you see how I'm just sort of scribbling on the screen here, this is where I want to be. I'm going to do a couple of passes, and then I'll find my way kind of back home, and I'll just cross hatch into the area that I just was, and I can continue on, and then I can do a couple pieces this way. And right here where I get into this darker area, I'm going to start to do a little bit of what I like to call cross hatching. It kind of crosses over some of the areas that I've just been and will give me a little bit more detail in my designs. and I'm going to sort of outline around the actual face of that. So there we go. Let's pan over a little bit, and I see sort of a little bit of areas right here where I might want to go in and continue on, create some bolder lines, and then I'll just sort of come here. I'll slow down a little bit and just fill in a few of the blank areas. This area looks like it should be pretty heavy, so I'm going to put in a little bit of a heavier stitch going through there. And this is all being done with a running stitch. So that is the only tool that I'm using at this point. I'll do a little bit of cross hatching through here, a little bit of cross hatching through here, cross hatch this way, come over here, come to this direction, go right over here, and then I'll probably just come over and try to thicken up that one line, come right back through here, and now I'm almost right to where I started. Put in a couple little pieces there, put a little bit of detail here, and I'm just going to move up to the top. Oops, did not want to do that, guys. Backspace, I meant to use my panning, so I'm going to pan over now. So now I'm pretty much to the face, and then we're going to be done. All of the.
While you're in the middle of that,
sure.
It might be easier to explain. What if you realize that you just missed an important spot?
You can either just go and trace over some of the areas that you did because it's really just a thread, or if you want to, you can undo some of the segments that you've just done. So if you're unhappy with things that you just did, I can go in and sort of hit a reverse button and basically start over from scratch. So that is an option. There is the ability to also edit stitches or lines. So I can go in the Doodler software and I can literally edit nodes, add nodes, take out nodes. I can actually grab a group of stitches and I can tell the type of behavior that it's going to be, meaning is it smooth or is it going to be lines? I'm going to slow right down here, and because this is the eye, this is some of the most important detail in the entire design. So I'm just going to slow down for a sec, but you have multiple ways that if you want to, you can fix a file. And I do let people know that if you are doodling on an iPad, I do suggest doing all of your kind of hardcore editing on the PC version because it is easier to actually see the things that you've done on a larger screen. So, with an iPad, they're wonderful, but the screens are only so large and you can doodle on them, but getting into doing fine-tune, editing or moving nodes around, it can be a little bit, too small. So you have the choice of doing editing on your iPad or within your PC version.
Does the Design Doodler work on a Mac?
Currently, it does not work on a Mac. We are working towards that goal. Right now, it is PC-based and on an iPad, which I know is a very strange marriage, but there are reasons for that at this point. But if you have been following us for a while with the Design Doodler, you'll know that we actually released it almost a year ago, and it was working in the functionality, I guess, the way I wanted it to behave, meaning that it does intelligently kind of join objects and stitches together. It gives you really great stitch outs, even though you're not, doing things the old-fashioned way, or I guess the old way of creating nodes, because you really are just drawing on a screen. But if you follow a few simple rules where you're actually, picking up where you left off, you will get actually no jumps or trims in your designs. They'll be embroidery friendly, they'll run smoothly, and we have, great results. Although as we got into this, we did realize that because it is so advanced graphically, you're literally have a drawing software that are creating stitches. There was some issues in the, first, what we call it, Jen, the first versions, where we ended up having some lag time, and a lot of people who were running older computers, they were actually freezing. And we ended up talking to the developers, identifying the problems, and they were incredible because they went in and actually completely redesigned the stitch engine knowing the potential that the Doodler has. So we are working with a completely new stitch engine that
Which
gives,
is fantastic.
yeah, it's fantastic. We're just getting kind of going too, because there is so much more that's coming in the future. But it works incredibly well. And even for people who have older PCs, we've given them some practical options where they can generate their objects, I guess, in a timeline that they want. So if they have a slower processor, it mathematically isn't slowing down everything within their PC. You have to remember that as I'm creating all of these little lines and objects, it is mathematically recreating things as I'm moving forward. It's not kind of like traditional digitizing software where you end up having all of your objects being created in blocks. So you're doing, maybe 500 objects in a design, and the software is generating, the stitch engine is generating all of those objects as individual blocks moving forward. With the Doodler, it's different because you're recreating all of these objects continually as you join them together. And that's why we were getting some issues with memory and speed and things like that, that kind of caused us to put the brakes on a little bit until we got all of that sorted out. And now that it is sorted out, we have done an incredible amount of beta testing, and we have testers that are helping us, and we pretty much have a green light on both of our platforms and our builds. And for those of you who do have the Doodler, there will be a new iPad version coming out very, very soon. So yeah, and it's going to match the build of the version that we're running on PC. So all of the new tools that we put into the software, all of the fixes that we've had so that people, were able to do stuff that they had asked for, which we did put into the PC version, that will all be available in the very near future. I can't say exactly when, because when we fix something, as far as development goes, we fix it, and when you fix something, sometimes it breaks something else. I wish it didn't happen. Yeah, it gets a little frustrating, but just so you guys know that the Doodler software is made by a company that I have had a personal relationship with in the industry for well over 3 decades. Pulse Microsystems is a Canadian company, and they are one of the leading developers in commercial software and home software in the world. And I feel honored that they have included us in helping to develop this program that specifically was designed to meet our needs. So it was really, really cool how this has all come together.
Darlene is asking, would this work more or less for complicated designs or less complicated designs, and also for lettering?
I would say in that situation, I just want to be totally transparent with people. This is not a digitizing program. If I were doing corporate logos or lettering or things that I know want to be 100% exact, I would use a digitizing program. This is not being marketed as a digitizer. This is an artistic merit tool for creative digitizing, where it does things that a digitizing program simply doesn't do, as far as the ease of use and as far as the quality of the results. I know that in my other programs, I would not be able to create this design as quickly as I am. I mean, I hopefully you guys will agree, but I'm going pretty fast here. This is actually a pretty quick design for something that is fairly complex in detail. So to answer the question, I think that if you're doing lettering or you're doing corporate logos, a digitizing program is much better suited to get those professional results from a corporate viewpoint.
Some of the lettering, one of the things that I like to see with the Doodler is if you have like old recipes from grandma, great-grandma, you trace over their handwriting, and what you see stitched out is they're writing on something.
And actually, yeah, that actually works really, really well. What Jennifer was talking about as far as doing, sort of recipes or doing really small lettering or small objects. And the reason why is you can adjust your stitch lengths on your objects that you're creating so that they can be longer or shorter. And as you're literally writing something on the screen, it will follow those curves and you'll actually see it look really detailed. I mean, I've done the word coffee in kind of a running stitch that is like, a couple millimeters using a standard, 40 weight thread. So there's the design. Now, I think I should probably put another color in here. And Sam, you actually set the machine up for 2 colors, right? Awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my objects, and I'm going to select that one, and I'm going to hide it just for a second. And now I'm going to select a different color, and it really doesn't matter what color I select. I'm going to actually go to a 1-to-1 scale real quick, and I'm going to zoom in because I want to see the entire object here. And so I'm not digitizing at a 3-to-1. Well, actually, it says 300%, so I was pretty close to 300%. Now I'm going to change my tool to a fill stitch. So now I have a fill stitch, and I'm going to change my density to 0.6 millimeters. 0.4 is standard, but I'm going to do that. I still have my my classic sort of shape tool that is going to do just a path of running, not running, but sort of drawing stitches. And I'm just going to outline right here. And I'm going to go all the way around this. And I'm just going to do a elbow. Now, again, this does not have to be perfect because this is kind of a sketchwork design. So I'm just going to go all the way around here, and I'm going to try to follow as closely as possible. So I'm taking a lot more time doing this type or this part of the design than I did with all the rest, because I want this one to be fairly close to what I'm going to be looking at.
Are you keeping the pen in contact with the screen at all times?
Yes, I am.
And if you have a Mac, can you use iMac running parallels with Linux?
Yes, you could, for sure.
So there is a way to work.
Yes, there is a way to work around it. And that is on, I guess, our biggest wish list is to get the software obviously working on a Mac. So there is the fill stitch. I'm going to turn off the 3D so that we can see it. Now, if I want to put a hole in a fill, I'm going to zoom in right over here. I'm going to select that fill stitch that I just created. So it's selected now. And now I have my hole function. So I can come in here and just add a whole bunch of little tiny points. And then when I come back, and if I want to create that hole, I'm going to hit the hole function again. And now I have a hole in that area. I'm going to pan over to the other side because I know there's a hole over here as well. I'm going to select the object again. I'm going to hit the hole feature, and I'm just going to come in here, do a whole bunch of little holes all the way around. And then I'm going to come here and hit the hole feature again. And I do want to look real quick. If I look at that, it's a looser density, but I can come in here. Let's go to our fit to screen real quick. So we'll fit that to the screen. I'm going to go into my properties of that fill, and I have 0.6, but I'm going to do something different. Let's close the colors for a second. I'm going to do travel on edge, and I'm going to change the travel on edge measurement to 0.6. So it's the same as it was before. And that way I won't have stitches traveling underneath there. But I'm also going to go on to an underlay, and I'm going to do a perpendicular underlay on that. And my density is actually 2. Let's change that to 4 millimeters between each of the stitches. So that made it a little bit sparser. The inset is fine. And that is pretty much good to go. Now all I have to do is come back to my sequence, and I'm going to take that object. Let's just open up all these right now so that I can see it all. So let's grab that one. I want to see those now. And I also want to come here and grab that object. Let's get this one out, and I want to move it up in the sewing order. So it's going to be first instead of last. So there is my design. It is pretty much done.
Tammy wants to know what's in the left arm that he's holding.
I have no idea. The left arm, I think it's a snake. I really should look closer at the actual. Is it a snake? And I think the snake is coming around and biting him under his bicep there. So that's what I think it is. I'll have to look at the photo and take another peek just to see. Turn off the 3D. I can turn off the picture so you can kind of see what it looks like. I can even come in here and turn off the grid. and I could change the colors to exactly what we want, but there's our design. So I'm going to save this and make sure that I always save it to a, and I called this one Anguish because I thought the guy looked pretty anguished. So I'm going to save this as a JDX file, and I want to replace it, and then I want to go in here, and I'm going to also save this as a DST file for Sam. So let's just find our DST. There it is right there. And I want to save this onto a flash drive. Awesome. So that should be it. So Sammy, I'm going to give you the flash drive and you can take it over to the machine. Okay, so do we have, yep.
White, black, just that?
Just white, black, that's it. 2 colors. So white and black. Now we're going to see if this actually turns out the way I'm hoping it will, because you know what you do sometimes and the way it turns out can kind of be 2 different things. Keeping in mind that I have been digitizing for a few years, like 38 years, I guess now. So I'm kind of hoping that I have this kind of set up so that it will look half decent when it stitches. Awesome. Good. Okay, and Sam is just, okay. I turned it off. Well, I hope she was singing you a love song, James. Good. Okay, guys. Anyways, I think we're kind of done this part. So Jennifer, is there any questions?
Yeah,
okay, awesome.
Get
Sure. Sam is going to be on camera number 4. So we can actually go over to camera number 4 and we can see what Sammy's doing.
And at that point, Maria is asking, is this the point where we save that type of file to whatever machine format to have?
Yes. Yeah. I saved the JDX file first, because if I ever want to go in here and I want to edit any part of this design, I can actually select the object and then I can go into my node editing and I can actually go in and I can, edit pretty much anything I want within this design. So all of the editing features are available within the JDX format. And the file, after you save the JDX, you will then choose whatever flavor you want for your machine, and it will save to that.
We have a lot of quilting people who are very happy with some of these extensions.
Yes, we have the long arm quilting extensions built into this software as well, which is pretty incredible.
Okay, let me know when you're ready for some questions.
Go ahead.
Okay. Where could you find designs like the one that you were just using as a template to start sketching and to use a Design Doodler?
Well, that is, and I'll actually go back to me real quick. That is the beauty of technology today, is if you have a iPhone or you have a Samsung or whatever type of phone you have these days, they have incredible cameras. So you can take a picture of anything and then bring it into a program like Graphite, the one that I showed you there. There's a bunch of others. Ken in his videos is showing different iPad apps and drawing apps that you can actually create things. So if you just have a photograph, it will automatically switch your photos to anything from a watercolor effect to an ink effect. And that's what you can use as your foundation to actually doodle. And you don't have to worry about copyright infringement or anything like that.
Robin says she just put Graphite on her iPad and she pulled up a picture of her dog, Daisy May, and it works great.
Well, yeah, it works great. There's another one also called Waterlog, I believe. And Linda Rayburn. She's an incredible educator with us as well. She actually turned me on to both of those programs. So
we have a dog named Daisy as well, and this was James and Daisy.
yeah, actually, I will show you what I did for James. Actually, let's just get rid of this one. So this was from a photograph, and that's what I actually did. And it's just one color, but I did that from a photograph, and that's James hugging Daisy.
Our old girl.
Yeah, our old girl. And she's here sitting in the room with us right now. So yeah, you can pretty much do anything with the Design Doodler. It is a freehand creation that allows you to choose all different, within the widget of the software, there's a bunch of different tools where you can actually choose motif stitches, appliques, fill stitches. you can use the pen tool to create a running stitch, or you can choose it as a bean stitch. There's just so many different possibilities.
Yeah, somebody says they bought the Design Doodler earlier in the year, and the changes you're talking about, they have been included in the update. So yes, please do your
Yes.
update.
Yeah, there is a ton. I don't want to get into an update type of thing, but when we officially get the next build done and it is released on both iPad and the PC version, I will make sure that we have a special live sort of showing all of the features on both.
And does the Doodler app go on more than one iPad?
Yep, you can load it on multiple iPads. That is, I think there is a limit, but I'm not 100% sure what it is. But you can actually, we weren't really concerned about the amount of loads sort of with the iPad, because if you don't have the PC version and they do communicate and talk to each other, meaning that they identify with the serial numbers that you're putting in, you can't necessarily run 1,000 copies unless you have the PC version anyways.
And I'll just jump over to the free bat design that we had.
Yep.
Looks like we were finally able to get in touch with Bethany. She's out tonight. It's
Okay.
Friday night.
It's Friday night.
Still working.
Normally we do not do Friday Night Lives, guys.
And long story short, I guess it will be uploaded before Monday.
Okay, so it'll be uploaded before Monday. Okay,
Monday the latest.
I did say that I did my part and tried to get all the designs done, and I was actually traveling. I left last Saturday and didn't return home until yesterday afternoon. So I got my part done, and so it's actually my fault, guys, but it is, all the files are there and it will be up on Monday.
So we apologize for that, but it's coming. Let's see. Is there a save all so you don't have to go in and save each file extension?
No, there isn't, because you always want to make sure that you save your JDX file. That's your working file. And then most people, it's not a program that has a multiple save feature like a lot of digitizing programs are. When we built this, we did not want it to compete with digitizing platforms, because we are an official Hatch reseller. So that was one thing we tried to be really careful about, was that our actual, what's that, she's stitching? Okay, I'll show that over there. But we wanted to be very careful, because we did not want to have our, I guess, Doodler software compete with something that we are a reseller for. So the Doodler does not do what the digitizing or the editing or the organizing functions of Hatch do, and Hatch does not do what the Doodler does. They are very different.
Right. And they're a great complement to one another.
Yes. So yeah, we have a lot of our group members that have both and use them in conjunction with each other.
Yes. Darlene is asking, is there an app for PC that does the same thing as what a graphite would?
I will have to check into that.
Or maybe if anybody else
knows, but we can.
Let us
There's
know.
so many. Yeah, there's so many art apps out there that allow you. I probably have like 15 of them downloaded onto my iPad, because I was sort of testing different ones and seeing the outputs. So there is a ton of different programs out there.
Can you load the Doodler on 2 different computers, like a laptop and a desktop?
Yes, you can. There is, I think, the license that you get will allow you to have 2 activations running within a household. And if you ever lose the program, meaning you have a system crash or you buy a new computer or laptop and you don't unactivate your software, it gets lost in cyberspace, then you just need to call into our office. We will get a hold of the developers and we'll reissue another serial number activation for you. Yep. Okay. So, well, should I do? Okay. So I'll go show you guys a couple little things while this is running. Number one, this is officially our last call for our party. It's happening actually a week tomorrow, right? So on Saturday the 7th, we have our 65th anniversary party. And if you want to sign up, there is still a little bit of time. We do have limited seats. I know that, because within our, I guess, Zoom membership, I think there's a couple hundred more seats that are left, and then we are full, which will be awesome if we do, because it's great to have a sold out event. but it is available right now. For those of you who haven't heard, we have over $30,000 of incredible prizes, and one lucky winner who wins the grand prize is going to get a ZSK Sprint 6 and the Pulse DG Maestro Tajima software and a bunch of other goodies. And we have other prizes as well, a second and third place and a bonus prize. We did a sneak peek last week, guys, where I showed you one of the In the Hoop projects that we actually did. And I'm probably going to go to full screen here for a second, or I'll make this a little smaller, and I'm going to go off of the machine running just for a second because I want people to see this sample that I'm going to be showing. We'll go back over to me. But here last week was Linda's sample. You can see it there on the actual area. This week, we're actually going to show you another sneak peek, but it is kind of two different parts of the mystery projects that we're going to do. One was one that was called Floral Deco. And just so you know, the Floral Deco designs that we actually did, I pulled from our vintage lace files that are part of our history, and I actually edited them all so that they can be individual motifs. And there are dozens of different little flowers. So I don't know if you can see the flower there.
Do you want to increase yourself?
Yeah, I could increase myself. Let's do that. So I will hide this. So here we have all of these tiny little flowers, and I did these using puff stuff. These haven't been cleaned 100%, but there is just all different kinds of pieces that you can run, and you can do it with regular wash away stabilizer or with a combination of wash away and our puff stuff. So you can actually, there we go, you can do that. So there is all kinds of really cool little flowers, and the idea is you're going to run a gazillion of them. You're going to do them in all different colors. We have little tubs set up for all the different designs. I formatted them for you so you can run multiple pieces on one hoop. And then what you're going to do is you're going to create some really, really cool things like this design, which using those floral deco designs, this is a floral deco butterfly, we call it. And it is pretty large. You need a 200 by 300 hoop, but we also have a 240 by 360. So this can be pretty big. And I'm going to show you the actual sample here. Jennifer, would you mind taking those? Okay, so I will, again, minimize this. And let's just show you the 1/2. So this is 1/2 of the design. And it is super sparkly. There actually is a sparkle material that we put underneath. It's not Mylar, but it is a very, very loose fill design. And then I actually framed it. And on the other side, we have the other part of the design, which is a raw edge applique, which actually has the antenna and the body done. So when you line them up and put them together, 1/2 of it is floral deco and the other half is traditional. So if you want to as well, you can make it your own. So if I want to add a little bit of extra and I want some little flowers coming off of the butterfly, and this is where everybody in my office told me I messed this up, right? Nobody liked this. So this was my idea. I take accountability for it. But you can actually do some really fun stuff and make it. Yeah, I didn't like the extras. They didn't like all the little extra pieces that were kind of flying off of the end here. So I ended up making a solution to that. I just have a piece where you can't see it. Come over. So anyways, that is one of our mystery in the hoop projects, kind of two in a way. And there still are, I think, 3 more at the party. So when you sign up, you're going to get all the bonus designs. You're going to get all of the, in the hoop projects, and this being one of them. So is there any comments on that?
Are you showing the sample?
I can show the sample. Hold on.
How does the version updates go for the Doodler?
The version updates right now, I know Leanne has them posted somewhere on our site for people to download. Pulse has just finished working on the capability for the auto update. So it will be like most other programs where when you click on the button to check if there is an update, it'll automatically search online. If it identifies that there's an update available, it will then give you a prompt to download and you can install it. And with the iPad, it's even simpler because it notifies you when there is a new version. And it does not cost any money. The version builds that we are doing, they are making enhancements to the idea of the platform that we initially started out with. So we're not adding any new tools at this point. We're just making it better and to work, cleaner. And it's there's no charge for that. Awesome. Any other questions?
What is the speed of the machine while you're stitching things out?
I think she has the machine set to probably about 700 stitches per minute. I'm just guessing. But like most machines, when you do set a machine sometimes to 900 stitches per minute, a multi-needle machine, it will actually slow down a bit the longer the stitch is. So if you have a 9mm stitch length, it's going to incrementally slow down, and a 2mm stitch length will speed up. So, this is, I think, a 4mm fill, and it probably is running pretty close to the actual, stitches per minute that you're setting it to.
Can you do automatic doodling?
No, it is not an auto-digitizing feature. This is all about you being creative with your artistic merit. So it will not automatically auto-generate or auto-digitize designs.
The machine is stitching at 700. Sam
Awesome.
says. So
Awesome.
Thanks, Sam, for answering that.
Hey, that was a good guess, wasn't it?
Love the flowers. Could you use that on a single needle machine?
Yep, you sure can. You can do the flowers. Everything that we do, you can run on pretty much any machine in the industry, whether it's a home machine or a commercial machine. A lot of the home machines have hoop sizes now that even some of the commercial machines don't. So pretty much anything's possible.
Can you use puff stuff on lace designs, or does it need to be specially digitized?
You could use puff stuff on lace designs. You would need to test it to see how it works, but I did use the puff stuff on all of those pieces of the little, floral pieces that we see here. And just so you know, this is what the puff stuff looks like. So it comes in a package like this, and you get, what's that? Are the samples on screen? Yeah, I have it right here. So yeah, so the puff stuff comes like this, and then you have a choice where you can either use the puff stuff to make the little lace. I guess to answer the question would be yes, because this is a lace flower from our vintage lace designs, and we did use puff stuff to create them.
That's right. The puff stuff's so easy to use, and it does give I would say, in some cases, a dramatic effect.
Yeah, it raises your embroidery, and it does stiffen the embroidery. So it's, you do need to make sure that you have running warm water to get rid of it, and a soft toothbrush or face exfoliator to make sure you get the residue that's going to lie on any fabric. Because it does dry, and it raises it, and it dries hard. And then after multiple washings, it still stays there, so I guess it gets activated after the first wetting and drying.
Jackie was asking, what are the sizes? I think she may mean the in the hoop projects.
Pretty much all the in the hoop projects, with the exception of the butterfly that I just showed you, which is huge. And we are including a second design that's kind of like that we made for the deco flowers, but you won't see that till the party. Those do require the larger 200 by 300 hoops. Most of the other projects that we have, we are making sure that they are friendly for 5 by 7 hoops. So we know that not everybody has the larger hoops, so majority of the designs we do include for 5 by 7. But a lot of the really detailed designs, can you pass me I passed you some files that had. Yep.
Can you make sure my speaker's on, because I'm being told I'm very quiet, and I'm
Okay,
trying to.
you should be on now.
Test. Is this any better?
Yes, it will be much better. I turned it off when Sam accidentally didn't have her mute on. So like these files, obviously, these are ones that I showed you last week. They have smaller 5x7 designs, but there is a whole bunch of ones that range all the way up to the largest hoops.
Hey, is there a way to use the extra large patterns when your largest hoop is like a 6x10?
There is software programs like Hatch and Brilliance and a lot of other platforms out there that will do multi-hooping functionality. What it does is, based on the hoop size that you choose, it will logically determine how to break apart that design so that you can, sort of print off positioning templates and you can realign the design. I've seen people get fairly good results, but keep in mind that when you're kind of splicing a design apart from one piece into 6 and then trying to join them together, you might see some obvious connectors or connection points that might be visible to the eye. It depends on the design. And let's go over to Sam for a second.
Also, she loves the deco flowers.
Awesome. Yeah, the deco flowers are great. And we literally, Sam was running thousands of flowers for the last 3 months. And we have them in all kinds of different sizes. Now, just so you know as well, guys, while the machine's running, we do have our 65th anniversary flash sale that did start yesterday. And we did decide that a lot of our products, which we don't normally have on sale, we have up to 25% off. So this is probably as good as Black Friday will be, or maybe even better, I'm not sure. But the 65th anniversary flash sale is happening right now. And if you are interested, I know James will put up some links. We do have $100 off on the Design Doodler right now. So you're saving 25% off on the software. We also have the hooping stations. So our Echidna hooping stations are on sale. And they are awesome for basically any machine brand that you have, whether it's commercial or home. We have our Digitizer's Dream course on sale. And this is an interactive educational course. It comes in 3 different levels. And I did it on multiple platforms because I know the easiest way to learn is seeing and doing on the program that you are already familiar with. So that was the whole idea behind that. And then we have our Embroidery Legacy Design Club, which this one we do not really ever put on sale. So Jesse, our marketing guy, he's Jesse Deere. He decided that in this, I guess, anniversary year, this was going to be the exception. And with our club, you get a certain amount of downloads every month, depending on which membership you choose. But it also includes our In the Hoops, our large legacy designs. It includes all of our fonts, whether they're ESA fonts or BX fonts. So no matter what you want on our site, it's more than likely, I think there may be a couple little exceptions, but 30,000 designs, over 1,000 fonts, they're all available to download and you choose them. And I know normally our designs might be like $3.95 a piece if you buy it individually. I know with our highest membership, it actually drops down to, I think, under 25 cents a design. So it's
fantastic.
Yeah, it is fantastic. And then the last thing is we are offering a anniversary sale on our puff stuff. So if you want to do the deco flowers and other great things with raised embroidery, the puff stuff is buy 2, get 1 free right now as well.
Tammy said she used puff stuff for lace earrings that she got from us.
Cool. Yeah, I think we did some lace earrings, I guess, last year for Halloween that we did. And I think we should probably do some more using puff stuff. Awesome. Any more questions, Jennifer Deere?
Nothing that I can see. I may have missed something, but I'm looking.
Okay.
How do you feel about it being your 60? I mean, obviously you haven't been around for 65
I was going to
years,
say.
but how do you feel about it, our business being around for 65 years,
Well,
with your grandparents starting it and your mom working it,
your
your wife, your kids working it, your grandkids have worked it.
Well, it's kind of funny because growing up in this business, I was kind of forced into it to a certain extent from my grandparents. We had a very hard European work ethic, and I kind of came into the business and I learned to love it. When I learned to digitize at 17, it wasn't on software. It was on a mechanical pantograph where you did 1 stitch at a time. And there was a lot of stress in learning that. And I think as I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate this industry and my family being involved a lot more. If you caught one of my events 25 years ago when I did dealer events across the US, and I would have that question come out a lot. They'd ask, do you want your kids to be involved in the business? Because I was, already a generational person in the business. And I always said, no, absolutely not. I don't want them to be in the business. I want them to do their own thing. And lo and behold, right now, all three of them are involved in the business. And I think that they love it as well. Jennifer, you love me, right? So that's why you're in the business? Or do you love it as well?
Well, I don't do any of the
Creative stuff. Jennifer does one of the most important jobs. She handles all of the, well, it is. She handles the finances and keeps us all in check. So, but yeah, it is a blessing to have a family business where, my great grandmother worked in the factory. My grandfather and grandmother worked in the factory. My mom was part of our business until she retired. Now, here I am doing what I do, and I love it. And my kids are all involved at this point in time as well. So you can never tell what the future holds, but maybe we'll have another generation in the future. You never know.
You never know.
So, well, okay. So we always have to give away something, and we're going to say, who wants to win? I wonder if Sam's having an issue over there. The machine has stopped. Do you want to check, James, real quick, if you have a chance? Okay, well, I see the machine. Oh, I know. You know what she did? Oh, I might have to go over and save the day.
Was it a little oops?
Yeah, it might have been a little oops because but she stopped the machine right away. She has a red thread that's actually going to be running the outline instead of the black. So I think she's switching over from red to black to get the outline. So anyways, we'll come in. You guys didn't even see that happen. Actually, I'm not even going to tell her that I noticed that. But here, just to show it, here she is pulling through the thread. So there's the red thread there, and there's that. So here, Sam runs samples all day long, does an incredible job.
And she has several machines.
Yeah.
She's doing watches at a time.
And now she has to show her nails because that was a big thing last week. But she has several machines running all at the same time. And there's her nails again. Okay. Well, I think I better turn it off the camera because we need to get the machine going again. Okay, this is going to do the outlines. So now we can see the outlines going on. But with the Who Wants to Win, we are going to give away some designs, and we are going to give away either our newest zombie pack. This is the zombie ghoul pack, or I'm not sure exactly what we called it, but it's kind of a fun pack because it is in regular embroidery for 5x7 and oversized appliques. So appliques that you could put on the front of a sweatshirt or the back of something that you wanted. So that is one of them. And then this one, we love these designs. These are the Art Matters designs, and there is all kinds of details, and they're just lots and lots of fun. So if you guys want to win either of these packs, because what we're going to do is we're going to let you choose which pack you'd like, whether it is this one here, or should we just give them both? I'm going to give you both. Jennifer didn't answer quick enough. So we'll give you all of this week's releases, and all you have to do to type in to win is?
Sam.
Sam. Okay, so type in Sam.
And there will be one winner on YouTube and one winner from Facebook.
Awesome.
And I'll wait for the guys to send me a winner's name.
Okay, so there is that, and I'll get the machine up here a little bit larger so that we can see it. Actually, let's go full screen here. Okay, so just looking at this, we'll see what it looks like when it comes off the machine, but it looks a little heavy on the density. So if I were to redo this, I'd probably lessen off the density a little bit. Okay, any other questions come in, Jennifer, dear?
I haven't seen any other questions. If there is, send us a message before we wrap this up.
Yep, we are just going to get this design to finish sewing. I probably just should have done the black outline and not the
Yeah.
the finishing
I think
stitch.
we still have quite a ways to. We can always post a photo later.
Yeah. Okay, so did you want to
The winners?
the winners? Yep.
Yes. So the Facebook winner tonight is Carolyn Bass. So congratulations, Carolyn. Or Caroline, I'm not sure of the pronunciation. And if you want to email in to contact@embroiderylegacy.com, Leanne will send your files off to you. And the YouTube winner I have for tonight is Karen Copper. So congratulations, Karen Copper. Again, email into contact@embroiderylegacy.com.
Awesome. Okay, so we are letting the machine run.
Two more questions.
Two more questions.
Yes. Tammy, what was the density that you used for the fill background?
The fill background, I actually did it at 0.6 millimeters. The standard density usually on a fill is 0.4 millimeters, but I wanted to actually have it a little less dense, just to try to speed up the process a little bit, but I just didn't feel it necessarily needed that much density. And I did use a perpendicular or a fill underlay to give a foundation to the stitches so that it didn't have as much push and pull compensation.
And do we ship within the US?
Yes, we do. Actually, we ship within the US. All of our products, we actually ship pretty much only within the US. It's become a little unfriendly to ship internationally at this point.
Yes.
And the quotes that we get from various couriers are just outrageous. So most of the time we get people quotes and they don't want to have anything shipped because, and I can't blame them because it's just insane how expensive things have gotten with shipping.
What was the sale end date?
It is 10 days long. I think you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it is the 10th of November, if I'm not mistaken. Or it could be the 9th, but one of those two. Well, I wish this would have been a little faster. I should have done even a 0.8 density so that it would have run even a little bit faster. The fill got me there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you can sing and dance if you want to.
No, that would not be a good thing. We'd so anyways, what I could do real quick is I will bring this one back on, bring this one a little bit smaller, and we'll probably let this one run through, and if people need to go somewhere else, but here I'm just going to show you guys real quick at a 6:1 scale. This is the Design Doodler software, and I'll just give you a real quick overview of the tools that are available on it. So there is a fill tool, there is actually a run stitch tool, there is a bean stitch tool, which will give you 3 passes automatically. You can adjust the densities to all of these. There is an applique tool, and you can do open appliques or closed edge appliques. Within the applique tool, you can select it and go to your properties. And when you go to the properties, you can actually tell it to either show the placement or the tack down, so you don't have to have those there. You can actually have it with no tack downs. And then the really cool thing is, this is kind of a little hack for it, but we have a blanket stitch, which is an E-stitch, and you can adjust things, but there is also a whole bunch of motif stitches. And with the motifs, you can actually come in here and let's set the patterns. So there is the line pattern. I have a whole bunch of different motif patterns so that I can create motifs using the applique tool. We also have a regular satin stitch, so I can create a satin stitch around something. And then the exact same thing works as long as I end up going right over top of that next object. That little red dot appears right there. If I continue on something, it will automatically join things together, and I will not have any jumps or trims or tie-ins or tie-outs until I go to another object, and then it actually does all of those tie-ins and tie-outs. So it is kind of a really intelligent platform that allows you to digitize without having a lot of those normal, digitizing learning curves. And then I also have a thing where I can go from thinner to, I guess narrow to larger. I have a calligraphy tool, so I can come in here and it will automatically do a single angle, and I can adjust those angles. And then it has a tapered end stitch as well. So there is lots of little, I guess, differences within all of the paintbrushes, so to speak. And within those paintbrushes, you can control the width of the objects and the stitches. But keep in mind, anything that you create within the software, you can come in, select an object, and you can also create the width of that object. I can make it wider or thinner. I can change the density of an object and have less or more density. I can have, depending on which one, this will allow me to do tapered edge on one or both sides. I can do, fixed edges. I have commands. I can add underlay. So everything you create within this, as you peel back the layers of the onion, the properties that are available, it is a full-featured kind of, digitizing capabilities behind every single tool. And that is kind of the amazing thing with this program, is even though it is so incredibly simple to use, you still get a ton of really cool features that aren't as much of a learning curve. If any of you have done traditional digitizing before, you know that there is a significant learning curve. Oh, I think I'm not on camera right now. Oh, I am. Good. There is a significant learning curve in learning how to be a professional digitizer. I'm the first one to say to people, if you want to learn, you should make sure you put a time aside to apply yourself, take some good education. We have great education. There's other great people out there as well. And be committed to learning all of the the tools in the software, the terminology, the properties, how to map designs, learn pull compensation, underlay. It's a bit of a learning curve. And to get to the point of doing what people consider detailed designs with traditional digitizing software, it usually takes quite a while. That's what I love about the Design Doodler, is you can get this artistic merit type of effects, and you really don't have to, endure nearly as much of a learning curve to get the results that you're looking for.
Gary was asking, how does it differ from regular digitizing software? And I guess you're kind of covering.
Yeah, it's very different than traditional digitizing software, because traditional digitizing software works on almost an object-based point counterpoint type of system, where when you create a satin stitch, you're usually, it's not as easy when you're creating a satin stitch to go in there and just take an object, and if I want to do a 2 millimeter or let's say 1 millimeter satin stitch, I draw this line, and there is my first, oops, I'm drawing and nobody can see what I'm doing. Let me just change the camera over, guys. Sorry about that. So I will make this smaller for a second.
While you're doing that, Tracy, just so you know, the sale ends on October 10th.
Okay, so I was right.
October.
Yeah. Oh, October 10th.
Yes.
Okay, not November.
We're in September right
okay.
now.
You know what? This has been one of the longest years. It went so fast at the beginning, and now we've had so much going on. It just it just seems like it's slowing down. Time is standing still. So here is a one of the reasons why this would be considered a little bit easier. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to go back, go to 6:1 so that you can see it. I'll turn off the 3D. And here is an object. So when I create that object and I look at that as a, actually let's make it a little bit bigger so you can see a little bit wider. That'll be better, 2.5 millimeters. So there's an object. And as I go over this point and I continue on and create this object, it just continues the path. So that's where it differs from traditional digitizing software, because in traditional digitizing software, you're not continuing the path, you're actually creating each object kind of individually. But because there is branching tools, I can come in here, and if I want to do a whole bunch of little pieces coming off of this piece, and you can probably see all these staggered little lines that are happening, as long as I'm connecting everything, then when I'm done, I can select whatever I've just created, and I do have auto branching features where I can hit that button and it automatically just branched that design, and it didn't require me to learn pathing. So that's where, and there is branching features in other software, but this one just kind of really simplifies it so
Like
that
painting with stitches,
yeah,
people have said.
it is. It's just like painting with stitches. It's like you know, I've always said that I've wanted to make digitizing easy. You know, that's why we named our site Digitizing Made Easy. My book was called Digitizing Made Easy. It was a little bit of a contradiction because, you know, digitizing is easy if you know all of the rules and if you take the time and you practice. This one here, this program, I think is, you know, doodling made easy. It's super easy because you follow a few simple rules and you're going to create beautiful artistic designs that, you know, I think you'll be amazed with. I mean,
Is the quality any different?
the quality, that's where there is stitch filters, so that when you are using this program, there are stitch filters that are allowing you to create objects, and it is looking at the paths and looking at what's being created, and it will reduce any stitch points that are too close together. So the fills generally have a really nice appearance to them. They join well, they overlap well. When I'm creating small detail like this, I mean, I used a 2mm stitch, and you're starting to see the detail in the face that's showing up there. It is sewing all the way through, and I know this machine hasn't had, you know, any thread breaks, knock on wood, because as soon as you say that,
For the dogs to start
okay,
barking.
yeah, that's true. That might not have been a good thing, because our dogs are here with us and they usually hear a door and they get set off. But it does have amazing stitch quality, considering you're not having to worry about overlapping and all that.
Taking a lot of that guesswork out.
Yeah, it's taking the guesswork out. So we are almost done. Apologize, guys. We normally keep this to 1 hour, and we've run way over to 1:18. But it is
Tammy
almost
says
finished.
She loves these little live get-togethers, and they boost her interest to stay within the hobby, and she likes her whole team's the best that she's encountered, friendly and helpful. Thank you, Tammy. That's
Yes,
very sweet.
thank you.
Try to put our time and effort into it, and again, it's a Friday night, and family's here working, and we appreciate the fact that you appreciate it. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. And we do have to, you know, we do acknowledge that we have a lot of incredible extended family. You know, I mean, our moderators, you know, and, you know, Ken's on board now, and we just have such an incredible team. Everybody gives 110%.
Absolutely. Would you have time to do an explanation of density by chance?
Explanation of
Density?
density. Density is the space between each stitch. So there, she is done. I'm just going to switch over the camera here. I think that sample's rushing in here. Sammy Sampler is rushing into the other room. Density is the space between the stitches. So tighter density are as my fingers together and you're not seeing the fabric show through. Lower density is when those stitches start separating and you can see things underneath. So generally building up densities and all that. How does it look, Sammy?
Looks really good.
Awesome.
Show.
Okay. Come here. Okay, come here, Sammy. You have to come in. You have to show this. Okay, this is Sam.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about the mess up. The excitement of doing it live. Got up to me.
Okay, so let's see it. Go nice and
this
close.
one?
Yep, it's this one right here.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so actually, I think it looks like a pretty close representation. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it looks so good.
Yeah, so actually it's not bad at all, and it did have any thread breaks besides the one color that we forgot to change.
One noticeable. No, nothing. It ran
Okay.
so smooth.
So that's what we got. We'll make sure we take a close up of this, guys. And no, just kidding.
Begs me to come on the
And then I
video.
cover her face. Well, last week, if you caught us, we had a little bit of joking around going on, and then Sam went to have burger. We went to go get burgers, and she actually came with me. And then we were talking about her dad and the dowry, and they aren't engaged yet. They're still. So she's telling me about this, and she started to tell me about her dad, how manly her dad is, because he's a hockey player. and how he had a game and he had his elbow torn apart and everything else. And I think she was trying to intimidate me a little bit, to be honest, about how big and strong her dad was. Well, I just want you to know, Sam, one time I got a really bad splinter in my finger, and I digitized a whole day with that splinter in my finger.
Wow. I mean, come on.
Or a shattered needle. Right? You can see the shattered
Father-in-law
needle.
material.
Wow, nice. Anyways, yeah, but her dad is a very nice man, and he does, he's so nice. He doesn't scare me, but you're telling me stories like that. Okay. Anyways, yeah. Thank you guys. I apologize for going over. I hope you enjoyed this, but there's the finished results. I think it's a doodle success. And Jennifer, thank you for everything. Are we good to close?
We're good to close.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, guys. And sorry
Thanks
for going
joining
over.
us.
Thanks.